All right, what is up, everybody? I hope you're all having a fantastic day today because I got something to say about Crimson Desert. Now, for those of you who don't know what Crimson Desert is, it is a massive open world RPG created by the studio Pearl Abyss, who I guess are previously known for a game called Black Desert Online, which is an MMO that I have not played. And I looked it up when I was trying to make this video, and a lot of people had mixed reviews about that game, which kind of goes into what I'm going to talk about here today. Now, Crimson Desert has been popping off lately. For about the last 6 months, it has been gaining a lot of traction. And, the gameplay they've been showing, they've been letting people play it, and a lot of people have really good things to say about it. And obviously, by the looks of it, people are eating it up and people want this game and they think it's going to be possibly a game of the year contender. And this is really interesting because I feel like the conversation around Crimson Desert is not one that you see often in video games, and that is universal praise for what's been shown. Now, there's still going to be two opinions you'll see online. The first opinion is that this game is going to be incredible. It's going to be everything it's cracked up to be, and it's going to be one of the best open world RPGs that we're ever going to get. And then there's the other side of the coin of people who think it actually looks too good to be true and that they might be getting manipulated by marketing tactics or something, or that they're not showing the real game and what it's actually going to be like. And I actually think that's crazy because it's very rare that you get a game with almost universal praise for what's been shown. Now, usually when a game is announced and you're showing gameplay, there's going to be people that think it looks great, and there might be some people that think it doesn't look that good. But with this game, you don't see that, and I think that's very odd because personally, from the things I've seen, even the most recent gameplay showcase that Pearl Abyss came out with, I don't think it looks that good. Honestly, I think it kind of looks like just like a smorgasbord of everything you'd want, but nothing that looks actually fun. And I'm gonna elaborate a bit on why I think that in this video. So yeah, my overall thoughts on Crimson Desert are that it just doesn't look that great. It's nothing we haven't seen before. I think the combat looks flat and unappealing and non-satisfying. I think the characters look bland and uncompelling. I think in general, the game seems like it just lacks creativity and uniqueness. It just looks like something you've seen in every other game that they kind of tried to combine into one, maybe in an overly ambitious attempt to, just hype people up. And so, yeah, I don't think there's really anything special, and I'm probably not going to buy this game on launch. I will wait to see what people say. And I definitely hope it's a great game because I love great games. I hope to eat my words, hopefully. I'll gladly eat a piece of humble pie if it turns out that I'm completely wrong. But yeah, let's get into it. So before a few months ago, I didn't really even know what Crimson Desert was. It wasn't on my map as a gamer. I didn't know when it was releasing. I didn't know who made the game. I didn't really know anything about it, and I only really started to catch on because of the marketing campaign. There was a lot of big time YouTubers talking about Crimson Desert. You got guys like Mr. Maddie Plays or like Luke Stevens, really praising the game and what it looked like, and that they were playing the game and they had hands on and it was really good and all this stuff was coming out. And so I really started to lock in because I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like, these guys are all saying this game is good. But then when I would see gameplay, it was basically just short tidbits of the main character walking or flying, and then like small little cut up sequences of the combat. And that's what really started to make me think, what is this game actually about, and what is the main gameplay loop and mechanic, and what is making me want to play this game? I was genuinely just really suspect about it at first, similar to what a lot of people were suspect about and saying, is it too good to be true? Now, because of this, I was just, a little bit skeptical of what I was seeing. And not because I think it looked too good to be true, but more so because I didn't really like what I was seeing, but there was all of these YouTubers promoting it. Now, I'm not saying that any of these YouTubers are paid off or whatever. I really respect a lot of these guys, like the guys I mentioned before, your Luke Stevens and your Mr. Maddie Plays. I respect these guys immensely, and I think they do great content. But it was just weird to me because I was feeling like, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing in this video game? Because as far as I saw, it was nothing really that moved the needle for me. They kept bigging up how the map was like 4 times larger than Skyrim or whatever the fuck they said it was. And that doesn't really interest me at all because a lot of the times we see games with big maps don't always have the depth. A lot of people will point to a game like Starfield, which I actually really like, but it is undeniable that Starfield lacked depth in a lot of areas because of how vast the world was and just the scale of the game itself. So I say all this just to kind of point out that even if a game looks great, there's always room for criticism, and see that with mostly every game that gets released. Even if a journalist loves it, they'll release a review and there will be criticisms with that. But with Crimson Desert, I don't think I've ever seen someone that has any like large standing in the gaming community criticize anything about it or anything that they've seen or played. It's almost universal and unanimous praise, and that's just odd. And that's whether it be a YouTuber, a journalist, a Twitter user, anyone. I haven't seen it. And I just find that odd, and that gets my alarm bells going because I've been seeing people online saying that this game is fucking Elden Ring, the next Elden Ring, and I find that just insane. To be honest, Elden Ring's one of the greatest games ever made, and to say a game from a company that is not really proven like From Software and that they're making a game that's going to be fucking Elden Ring is ridiculous. There's not a lot of gaming companies that could just go ahead and drop a fucking banger like that. You know, Warhorse is one of them with Kingdom Come Deliverance, but even Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first game wasn't universally praised. People loved it, but there was a lot to talk about. There was a lot of things that could have been fixed, and that's what I'm not understanding when it comes to Crimson Desert. And I want to talk a bit about the combat because that's one thing that I think they've shown a lot of recently, and it just doesn't look that great. I think it looks ass. I think it looks like your standard MMO style combat, and it lacks a lot of creativity and uniqueness, in my opinion. It is nothing that we haven't seen before, quite frankly, and it's especially ironic because Pearl Abyss is known for making MMOs, and that's what this game looks like, especially the combat. It looks like an MMO. You know, the combat doesn't look very hard hitting or satisfying. There's a lot of flashy colors and bright lights and a ton of enemies. And then, like, they're showing you in a mech suit blowing shit up. It's like, I'm just really having a hard time determining what this game is even about. And I feel like they haven't talked a lot about that, really. And that's going to be the next thing that I'm going to go into. And that's the story and the characters and what you're even really going to be doing in Crimson Desert. But as of right now, I just think the combat looks flat out. It doesn't look great, and I think that's one main point of contention for me as to why I'm not buying it just yet. And that's because combat to me is probably the most important thing in a video game. If I don't enjoy the combat, I will not be able to play. I don't care if they have parkour mechanics and cool traversal mechanics or riding dragons. I don't care. If the combat sucks, I'm not going to play it. And for right now, that's looking like where it's at for me. Now, the other main point of contention for me when it comes to Crimson Desert is the story and the characters. And this is actually one area where I've seen, you know, be it rarely, some other people showing their skepticism towards the game, and that's when it comes to the story. That's because we really don't know too much about it. We know about the main character. His name is Cliff. We know he's a mercenary leader, and his mercenary band was kind of, you know, betrayed or disbanded, and that's kind of going to be what the point of the game is. But we don't know much about his actual character or the other characters at all. It doesn't really look all that compelling. You know, when you think of game trailers, you usually get locked in on the characters immediately. Like, I always think about, like, Assassin's Creed, for example, Assassin's Creed 2, let's say. You know, you see Ezio in Venice in that first cinematic trailer. He says no words, but you're automatically locked in on who this guy is, what he's fighting for, what his deal is. And when it comes to Crimson Desert, I don't feel that at all when I see the character of Cliff. And apparently, from what I understand, there's going to be multiple playable characters, which are going to be other people in your mercenary group. And everything is just kind of sounding like this game was meant to be an MMO. You know, a bunch of different playable characters, a weird, you know, all-encompassing combat style that doesn't look too, you know, narrowed down to a certain gimmick. Just way too much going on, a map that's way too big. And all of these combined, just for me, don't add up to something that's all that appealing. Genuinely, I don't think there's anything about this game that I've seen so far that makes me think it's going to move the needle or break any records or be game of the year. I don't know. If you have a different opinion, I'd like you to obviously comment and maybe educate me a bit. I want to hear what you have to say. And if you think my opinion is ass, I'd love to hear that as well. But personally, I just don't think there's any way you can really hype up this game to the level that it has been based on what we've seen so far. Most of it has just been a walking simulator or a traversal simulator. I don't care that they've shown horses, dragons, you know, weird fucking parkour mechanics, all these combat mechanics. None of it really makes a difference to me. I need to see that the game is actually good. There is one thing that I will say, and that is that the game looks great. The game does look great graphically. It looks amazing. That's one thing I will not deny. The game looks fantastic, man. That's one thing they definitely got right, and I don't think that's going to change much. I've seen a lot of people say they're going to be worried about performance, and that's kind of more down on the list for me when it comes to things I'm worried about. I don't think performance is really going to be an issue, especially for me. I have a PC, so I don't think it's gonna have much of an issue at all. And I also have an Xbox and PlayStation, so if I have to buy it on a different console, I'll do that. Wherever the performance is good, I'll go there. So that's low on the list in my opinion. I don't think people should really even be worried about that. I'm worried about the actual gameplay, combat, story. That's what I'm worried about because nothing so far is screaming to me that this is going to be the next fucking Elden Ring. But anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Yeah, peace.